Hello everyone. I welcome you all to my channel. Today we will discuss the origin, meaning and different definitions to discourse and discourse analysis. As there is no single agreed definition to discourse, that's why we will be taking a different perspective and we will define discourse from the perspective of different discourse analysts and scholars. So let's begin and learn what is discourse and what is discourse analysis. On this slide, we will be focusing on the origin of discourse. So the word discourse, it has been taken from Italian word discurses, which means conversation or speech. So that is okay that here we get the origin of the word discourse. It's taken from Italian word discurses and that means conversation or speech. The origin of discourse analysis. That was the origin of discourse, and now we will be talking about the origin of discourse analysis. The scholars of Greece and Rome who were studying language were well aware of the different approaches to language. So they knew that there are different approaches to language. In the past, distant past, in ancient Greek time, ancient Rome time, when they were studying language, so they were well aware of the different approaches to language. One of the approach was grammar, one of the approach was rhetoric. In grammar, we are focusing and we are studying the rules of language, how words are combined, how phrases are combined, how sentences are combined. So this is like a kind of rule, okay? Or we study the rules of language, that what are the rules that govern inside the language, okay? To make the sentences correct ones. And the second thing was rhetoric. That was the art of persuasion, the use of language in different contexts, right? You see that we deliver time to time different speeches, politicians and even common person, okay, that you deliver speeches at university level, college level, school level, wherever you are. So that is the art of persuasion. And for the art of persuasion, you need what? You need choice of words. What are the words you are going to choose to have a strong effect on the mind of the people? So they were well aware of these different approaches to language. Fine. Now, the first one is concerned with the rules of language. We're talking about grammar. While the second one deals with how to do things with words to achieve effects. So we are using words, and when we are using words, so we want to do something with words to change the mind of someone, okay, or to convey an idea in a better way. So that's why we are very choosy when we are choosing or selecting words effectively with people in a particular context and situations. So that is okay, the origins of discourse analysis. Now, discourse, a term with several related and often quite loose meaning, right? Some scholars, some discourse analysts might think or might say that discourse is a language above the level of the clause or the level of a sentence. While some scholars or discourse analysts might say that discourse is language in use, while others might say that discourse is a form of social practice. So it means, okay, that we are defining discourse from different perspective according to the perceptions of different discourse analysts. So a term with several related and often loose meaning, perhaps the most general usage, it can refer to any form of language in use, according to Brown and Young. So this is one definition to discourse, that any form of language in use. So when language is in use, we call it discourse. If you are in a classroom, if you're in a conference, you're in a cafeteria, you're at home, right? So when you are in a context, okay, so that is language in use. So this is one definition to discourse according to Brown and Yull, that in a book that is the reference 1983. So what is discourse? If next time someone asks you that what is discourse, you might tell them that discourse is language in use or naturally occurring language. So naturally, because you are in a context, so naturally you will speak a language. So naturally occurring language or language in use. Another meaning, conceive discourse as language above the sentence or above the clause. As references here, that is Stubb 1983. This is another definition. You can also say that discourse is a language that is above the level of the clause or the level of a sentence. At the bottom, we have morpheme or word. After the word, we have a little bit larger unit of language that is called phrase. And larger than phrase, we have clause. And larger than clause, we have sentence. And then larger than sentence, we have discourse. So discourse is a language that is above the level of the clause or the level of a sentence. This is another definition, right? Now, discourse can also be used to refer to particular context of language use. When you are using language in a particular context, we can also call it discourse. Now, in this sense, it becomes similar to the concept like genre or text type. Fine? When you are in a particular for example, you are in a conference, that is one type of discourse. And if you are like in cafeteria and you are conversing with your friend, this is another type of discourse. And if you are delivering a speech, so this is another type of discourse. So again, there is language, the use of language in context. For example, we can conceptualize political discourse, as I told you, and the sort of language used in political context, or media discourse, language used in media. Similarly, we can have religious discourse, we can have environmental discourse, we can have showbiz discourse, we can have educational discourse, right? We can have medicine discourse, right? Or we can have so many other types of discourse are there. So whenever language is in use, that is called discourse. This was another definition to discourse, right? In addition, some writers have conceived of discourse as related to particular topics, such as environmental discourse or colonial discourse. So that is related to particular topic. If you are writing or you are talking about particular topic, we can also call it discourse. Fine? Which may occur in many different genres. Is similar with the previous definition. Related to this, Michel Foucault defined discourse more ideologically as practice with systematically from the object of which they speak. So this is the concept of Michel Foucault. Now, what Guy Cook says about discourse. He said that discourse is a unit of language larger than sentence is called discourse. It's similar that we previously defined according to Brown and Yell. So he also thinks, Guycock, there is a unit of language larger than a sentence that is called discourse. As I told, we have larger unit in a language that is sentence, and below sentence we have clause, below clause we have phrase, below phrase we have word, and below word we have morpheme. So morpheme is at the bottom and the larger unit is sentence. So if we have the language that is above the level of clause or sentence, then that is called discourse. Then discourse then is a larger unit of language. It's larger than a clause or a sentence. Now, a stitch of language written or spoken larger than sentence is called discourse. According to Cook, novels as well as a short conversation might be equally called discourse. So the whole novel can be discourse, or a short conversation can be discourse. So language in use for communication, this is another definition according to Guycock, that language, when it is used for communication, we call it discourse. And discourse analysis search for what gives discourse coherence. If you're searching for that, what are the things, what are the elements which give discourse coherence? So you are doing discourse analysis. We have some more definition to discourse. Study of text, linguistic unit larger than a sentence, similar to the previous one. And according to Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary, that a long and serious statement or discussion of a subject in speech or writing, that is called discourse. That is according to Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary. And according to ODLA, that the use of language in speech and writing in order to produce meaning, language that is studies usually in order to see how the different parts of a text are connected. Now, in its simplest form, discourse is a verbal or written communication between people that goes beyond a single sentence. So then we can define that discourse is what? A verbal or written communication between people that goes beyond a single sentence. If you go beyond a single sentence, two people are there, they're talking, they're communicating with each other, but they go beyond a single sentence. This is discourse, right? Importantly, discourse is more than just language. The term language can include all the form of linguistic and symbolic unit, even things such as road sign. So they say that importantly, discourse is more than just language, because when we talk about language, so we do not talk about the context, right? And we do not talk about the culture. We do not talk about the influence of society. But when we talk about discourse, so we are talking about the social norms, the cultural norms, the context which influence language. So when we include all the social and cultural norms, the context, so then it becomes discourse. And when we remove these elements, then it becomes language. So the term language can include all the form of linguistic and symbolic unit, even things such as road sign. And language study can focus on the individual meaning of words. Discourse go beyond and looks at the overall meaning conveyed by language in context. As I told, that context is there. Social context, religious context, cultural context in which something is produced. So how the language is influenced by this context. So this is called discourse. And this makes discourse different from language. So context here refer to the social, cultural, political and historical background of the discourse, and it is important to take this into account to understand underlying meaning expressed through language. If you want to know that how meanings are expressed through language, you have to go beyond the language. You have to see that in which context this language was produced, right? What was the context? What was the background? What was the influence of this person when he was using such and such word, such and such sentences? Now, discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is the study of language at use in the world, right? So when you are using discourse analysis, you study language that is used in the world, the use of language in the world. So if you are studying the use of language in the world, so you are doing discourse analysis, not just to say things but also to do things. So we do not use language only to communicate or to give information, but we also use language to do certain things. So people use for lots of different things. They use it to communicate, to cooperate, and to help others. They use it to build things like marriage, reputations, and institution. They also use it to lie, advantage themselves, harm people, and destroy things like marriages, reputation, and institution. So it means that language is not only used for communication. There are multi purposes of the usage of language. Language is used to do things, to order, to request, to command, to make apologies, to make warnings, to issue warnings. Language is used to win the hearts of people. Language is used to destroy people. Language is used to build marriages. Language is used to separate marriages or to break marriages. Language is used to heal the heart of someone. Language is used to wound someone. So language is used, right, not just to convey communication. Language is used to lie. Language is used to take benefits from someone. Language is used to shape the minds of the people. Language is used to construct and build ideologies. Language is used to control the minds of the people. Language is used to shape the minds of the people. Language is used to change the social norms, the cultural norms of a particular society. So language is not only for communication, but there are a lot of multiple purposes of using language. Now, step 1983 says that refers to as attempt to study the organization of language above the sentence or above the clause. If you're looking for that how the text is organized, what are the elements? Coherence and cohesion, right? You're looking for this. Then how this unified and the whole text is organized. You're looking for the elements for coherence and cohesion. So you're doing what? You're doing discourse analysis. But this will be restricted to the discourse analysis of the grammar of a language, because you are focusing on when you are defining language above the level of the clause or a sentence. So you're looking for the connectivity, that how different sentences, how different parts of a language are combined to make it a uniform and a whole, right? While some discourse analysts focus on how meaning and structures are signals in text, others, especially since the early 1990s, have used discourse analysis more critically to examine issues related to power, inquiry, and ideology. All forms of discourse analysis, however, have tended to stress the importance of examining naturally occurring language. So, some discourse analysts, they are looking for that how different parts of the text are connected, well netted. They are looking for coherence and cohesion. So this is also discourse analysis. Some of discourse analysts, they are looking for that how language is used to do things. What is the function of a language? So this is also discourse analysis. And some of the discourse analysts, they are looking for social issues like power, ideology, gender discrimination, inequalities, how they are built in language. So this is also discourse analysis. But whatever you are doing, you cannot ignore the importance of examining naturally occurring text. So, language is used naturally occurring or language in use. So, we can then define we do not have like a agreed definition, single agreed definition to discourse, but the better way we can say that that is language in use. But if you are using language in use, so again, it is not like one word or one sentence, it will be more than one sentence, right? So the better way is to combine these all three different definitions and make it one. Okay, this could be then the discourse analysis is language in use that is above the level of the clause or a sentence in order to investigate that how certain ideologies, inequalities, power relations are built in discourse. So then that will be like a single definition to discourse. Approaches to discourse analysis. There are many different approaches to discourse analysis. Some of these are part of discipline of linguistics, and these approaches to discourse analysis are tied closely to the study of grammar. Some approaches to discourse analysis are not closely tied to grammatical details of language but concentrate on ideas, issues, and themes as they express in talk and writing. So, when we talk about the approaches to discourse analysis, so some are closely linked to the discipline of linguistics, while some are not. If you are looking for social issues like gender discrimination, ideologies, and inequality, so that is not directly linked to linguistics rather than other discipline like sociology, psychology, etc. And if you are stick with what? With you're looking for the to analyze language that is above the level of the clause or a sentence, so you are stick with what? With the discipline of linguistics. Fine. How many slides are there? I guess this is the second last slide. Yes, this is the second. We done this one. Now we come to the second last slide. So, as Wodak put it, discourse analysis provides a general framework to problem-oriented social research. Basically, discourse analysis is used to conduct research on the use of language in context in a wide variety of social problems, issues, society that affect individual negatively. So this, okay, language is still there, okay, but this won't be like purely grammatical analysis, or it will not be purely stick with the discipline of linguistics. For example, discourse analysis could be used to assess how language is used to express different viewpoint on financial inequalities, and would look at how the topic should or shouldn't be addressed or resolved, and whether this so-called inequality is perceived as such by participants or not. What makes discourse analysis unique is that it posits that social reality is socially constructed, or that our experience of the world is understood from a subjective standpoint. Discourse analysis goes beyond the literal meaning of the word and language. For example, people in countries that make use of lot of censorship will likely have their knowledge and thus view limited by this, and will thus have a different subjective reality to those within countries with more law, with more text laws on censorship, right? So this was, okay, the different point of views of different discourse analysts. Please, if you have any question, you can put your question in comment section. Thank you so much.